Hey guys, I just watched Blackenstein and I really think this movie is named wrong. I would have named it Franken-Negro. No, seriously. Frankenstein is the name of the scientist, and of course the monster is called Frankenstein's monster. Therefore, in this movie, Frankenstein, if he's Blackenstein, should be played by a black actor, but instead it's a white actor, and the monster is played by a black actor, so the title actually is incorrect.
Dr. Stein would like to see you in his laboratory.
Now, this is kind of your run-of-the-mill blaxploitation horror movie, but there's one actor that stood out. It was like he was trying to get an Oscar off of this movie and didn't quite realize what movie he was in. It was the guy who played the nurse orderly type person who went off on this whole monologue about how he was unable to join the military because of a heart murmur. And so he's going off on this patient who has recently lost their arms and legs in the war, and he's really overacting.
I think I got time to be running upstairs and around and all over just because one of you guys wants special attention? What the hell's so special about you just because you're laying there, huh? The hell? You know, they called me, the service too. I went down there, it was 45 inches, 17 and a quarter, 28-inch waist. I walked down there like this, and, you know, night before, I was going down for induction. My gang, they all throw me a party, and they give me some great gifts, you know, little shaving things, and little portable type of radios and stuff like that. And I said, hey, gang, I love you. Thanks a lot. I really love you. I'm going to be one of those marching soldiers. I get down there, and I get a check. They don't take me to the old ticket, weightlifting and athletics. Just made my heart, gave it a little murmur, so I had to go back to all these people. I said goodbye to the other night. I don't know what the hell I'm even telling you this for. Big deal, you laying there. You know, it's my taxes, my friends' taxes are going to keep you there. We got to take care of you. Big deal. What the hell did you go for? You didn't have to go. You know, that old scam. Patriotism, huh? Yeah, I can see it now. The bands are playing and the drums are rolling and the drum blowing the bugles and all. I blow it out you. The hell you? Why don't you take a look at yourself, huh? You look like a creep laying there looking up at me with those stupid eyes of yours. The hell do you know? I'll close those eyes. It's time for your shot, buddy. Nice big needle. Just relax.
The biggest problem with the monologue is that he's bitching to a man who just lost his arms and legs about not being able to enter the military, and I'm sitting here thinking, would you like to switch places with him? I mean, you're lucky that you didn't have to go through or endure what this character is going through. The scientist in this movie that creates the Blackenstein is named Dr. Stein. We do get to see some of his other experiments that are a little bit Island of Dr. Moreau-ish to me, and I thought that was kind of cool. They do make some changes. In this story, instead of exploring reanimating tissue, it explores more DNA serums and the transplantation of limbs. His experiment unfortunately goes awry when a jealous lab assistant switches serums on him. I would like you to know that the serum did make his afro grow hella fast, and I would like that serum. I definitely need a bottle of that. I love how so many black horror movies from the 70s come to a complete stop to just have a musical number in the middle of them. And in this one, it was not only just a musical number, but also a comedy number. I appreciate these things. I think we should bring those back in the movie. Another cool thing about this movie is that the monster does not like rapists. He kills 2 or 3 potential attempted during the course of the movie. I thought that was pretty cool. He kills a few other people, and then towards the end of the movie he kidnaps this lady for some reason. I don't know why, when he generally killed everyone else on sight, but he kidnaps her for a while and then kills her later. That didn't make sense, but I guess it made for an interesting plot point. Like I said, for the most part, except for the orderly nurse guy, the acting was pretty good. The plot is pretty thin, but everyone knows the story of Frankenstein's monster, so you didn't need to add too much to that. The ending on this was pretty bad too. I was sitting there watching it like, really? That's how you're gonna end this? Dogs? Just out of nowhere. Couple Dobermans. And then that's it. That's the end of the movie. Dobermans. I don't want to completely spoil you to let you know what the Dobermans did, but it was just so out of left field and it didn't make any sense at all, but I guess it's okay. It was at least creative. The effects for the most part weren't all that great. They weren't perfectly bad either. I would say the aftermath of the kills were done all right, but the actual makeup on the Blackenstein's monster was kind of lackluster. So, you know, it is what it is. It's a low budget blaxploitation movie. You can't have super high expectations for what the makeup effects are going to be. That's not the reason why you watch these movies. At least that's not the reason why I watch these movies. Anyways, definitely check out Blackenstein, aka Franken-Negro. If you've seen Blackenstein, let me know what your experience of it was in the comments. If I entertained you, made you smile, or helped you pass the time, please consider supporting this channel so that I can do that more. Horror channels often get suppressed and demonetized, but you can help in 3 ways: by pledging a monthly contribution on Patreon, sending a one-time tip using your preferred financial app, or you could help for free by liking and commenting for the algorithm, and most importantly, sharing this video on your social media. Thank you so much. Hey guys, I just watched Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde, which stars Bernie Casey, who I know from Revenge of the Nerds. That's a shame that I know him from Revenge of the Nerds and not from 70s movies, but that was my first experience of seeing him as the leader of the Lambda Lambdas that allowed the nerds to have a chapter on whatever fictional campus they were on. In the movie, Bernie Casey plays Dr. Henry Pride, not Dr. Black as the title would have you assume. Rather than me just describe it to you, I'm going to tell you what the plot summary says when you search for this movie. It reads as follows. When a scientist develops a formula to regenerate dying liver cells, it accidentally turns him into an albino vampire with a taste for prostitutes. As soon as I read that, I said, I'm in. Less than 10 minutes into the movie, I'm like, why is this girl sitting here with her boobs out?
Bernie Casey is Dr. Black.
Hiya, Doc.
Don't give him no sass or he'll kick your ass. Jump back, Jack, for your skull is cracked. The barflies are trying, but their bodies keep flying. The dude stood tall till his butt hit the wall. When the boys go rushing, Mr. Hyde starts crushing. The crowd is hushing as the blood comes gushing.
Just stand there like crushing down the ass. Just get in!
At some point, he volunteers at a neighborhood free clinic and thrift store. Yes, those two things go together. And apparently it's in Watts, because it says Watts at the top of the sign. She's sitting there with her boobs out, and the dialogue between her and the doctor is hilarious, especially when she is pretty much reading him and telling him how he doesn't know anything about the ghetto or the black experience. What's funniest is when she starts reading him, he looks at her and says, "Nigga, please."
Now, I don't want to sound like I'm preaching, but obviously, prostitution is not the healthiest job to have. You have pain there. Not to mention what it does for you psychologically.
Ah, the good doctor again, trying to save my soul.
You know, you are intelligent and beautiful, and there's so many things you can do.
You mean like a maid in some tacky hotel cleaning toilets? Thanks, but no thanks. I like what I'm doing.
That's such a cop-out.
Oh, what do you know about it, Mr. Big Shot Doctor? You're the cop-out. The only time you're ever around black people is when you're down here clearing your conscience.
Oh, nigga, please.
I died. I was not expecting that. There's also a pimp named Silky in this movie that's also a junkie. So I'm just letting you know what type of film you're in for. Now, I've seen both the 1931 and the 1941 Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movies. And I almost forgot that in the original, they pronounced his name Jekyll. It was Dr. Jekyll. And then for some reason over the years, it's now Jekyll. I forget which one it was, either the 1931 or the 1941 version. There's like this shot of a prostitute with her leg swinging back and forth off the bed. And what's funny is in this movie, there's a shot, I think they're in a bar, a couple prostitutes in a bar, and the camera does kind of zoom in on the girl sitting on a bar stool with her legs swinging back and forth. And I thought that was a nice little Easter egg and a callback to the original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This was actually a pretty cool update or updated version as far as the 70s. Now I guess it's not up to date anymore since it's from the 70s, but as compared to the 1931 version, it's up to date, and it's a really good take on the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character. The ending was a little Frankenstein meets King Kong-ish for my taste. I wish they would have kept it a little bit more faithful to the original story. The acting was really good for it to be a low-budget horror film. One of my favorite scenes is when the prostitute is reading Dr. Pride, but there's a lot of great dialogue throughout the movie. In a lesser film, that dialogue would have come off as campy, but she really sold it. The score was pretty interesting. At times there was a synth score that would remind you of a John Carpenter movie, kind of like They Live, and then other times it had the same type of funky 70s music that is present in a lot of 70s films. So some of the soundtrack, I would say, is a little bit ahead of its time. The makeup has a great shape to it. The prosthetics used to create Dr. Hyde's look, I feel, were very well done. The weak part of it was in the coloring. I don't feel that he looked like an albino. He just looked greenish gray. Interesting thing is Stan Winston did the makeup for this movie, and this must have been one of his earlier works because we know him from Aliens and Terminator, and hold on, I think there's a lot more. I took down note. He did effects for Aliens, a couple of the Friday the 13th movies, John Carpenter's The Thing, Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, Monster Squad, Predator 1 and 2, and a TV movie that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, and that's Gargoyles. He has dozens of makeup effects credits, and this is one of his first. Like I said, the prosthetics were good, but the coloring wasn't so great, but everyone has to start somewhere. Obviously, he improved. I really got to get around to watching the Tony Todd version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I know there's probably another dozen different versions of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but I'm really only interested in the Tony Todd version. I would definitely check this out if you get the chance. I found it streaming on Roku. Can't remember which channel it was on, but if you do a broad search on Roku, you'll be able to find it. But like I always say, just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it. Just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. Have you seen Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments.
There's a heel behind the wheel when Hyde takes his ride. No man can survive when he shifts into drive. It ain't no jive trying to stay alive. Silky won't revive from his final nosedive.
Brother man, this situation is rapidly becoming insalubrious, meaning we're about to stomp a mud hole in your ass.
From the first verse to the last blast, it's Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde, starring Bernie Casey, Rosalind Cash, Stu Gillum, directed by William Blackula Crane. Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde.
Special thank you to my patrons. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Reminder to new and returning Latchkey kids, don't forget to follow me on your preferred social media platform and check the community tab on YouTube for some fun extras. By the way, here are some other videos you might like.